The air hung heavy with the stench of fear and decay. A narrow crevice, a chasm of despair had become a death trap. A young mountain lion, barely more than a cub, whimpered from the depths. It had slipped, tumbling into the abyss. Every muscle screamed in protest as it struggled to find a foothold on the treacherous, crumbling rock. Time was running out. The midday sun beat down relentlessly, turning the chasm into an oven. Dehydration would be a merciless killer. Above, the desperate cries of its mother echoed through the mountains, a symphony of anguish. Hope seemed as distant as the sky itself. Then a flicker of movement on the rim above. A team of rescuers, their faces etched with determination, peered into the abyss. They were a beacon of hope in a landscape of despair. Their mission, to challenge the mountain and defy the odds. The fate of the cub, so fragile, so vulnerable, now rested in their hands. The forest was a raging inferno. Flames danced among the trees, consuming everything in their path. The air choked with smoke, thick and acrid. Panicked animals, their eyes wide with terror, fled the inferno. A wall of fire cut off their escape. Among them, a small group of deer huddled together, their fear palpable. The lead doe, her sides heaving, searched frantically for a way out. The fire was closing in, the heat unbearable. Their hooves scorched the ground as they edged closer to the raging inferno. Suddenly a roar cut through the chaos. A fire truck, its lights flashing, appeared through the smoke. The rescuers, clad in fire-resistant suits, sprang into action. They were warriors against the flames, undeterred by the inferno that raged around them. For the trapped deer, they were a lifeline in a sea of fire. The ocean, vast and unforgiving, held a silent prisoner. A humpback whale, its colossal body entangled in a web of discarded fishing nets, struggled for each breath. The weight of the nets pulled it down, dragging it closer to the suffocating depths. Every movement tightened the deadly embrace, cutting into its flesh. Exhaustion set in, threatening to drag the magnificent creature into the abyss. The whale's plaintive song, a mournful lament, echoed across the waves. A group of divers, alerted to the whale's plight, raced to the scene. Armed with knives and sheer determination, they braved the treacherous currents. Time was the enemy. Each passing moment brought the whale closer to death. The divers worked with urgency, their movements swift and precise. Finally, the whale was freed, swimming away to the open ocean. The beach, usually a place of tranquility, was now a scene of desperation. A pod of pilot whales, disoriented and lost, had beached themselves at high tide. Now, as the tide receded, their sleek bodies lay stranded on the sand. The sun beat down mercilessly, baking their skin. Time was of the essence. Every moment out of the water brought them closer to death. A group of volunteers, a chain of hope, formed along the shoreline. Buckets of water were poured over the whales, a desperate attempt to keep them cool. Others, their voices filled with urgency, urged the whales to move. The whales, their eyes reflecting their fear and confusion, lay helpless. High in the mountains, a drama unfolded on a cliff face. A golden eagle, its wing entangled in a poacher's snare, hung precariously. Every gust of wind threatened to tear it from its fragile perch. Fear glinted in its sharp eyes. Below, the ground fell away, a dizzying drop. The eagle's powerful talons clutched desperately at the rock, its only anchor. A team of climbers, experts in navigating treacherous terrain, began their ascent. The climb was fraught with danger, the rock face unstable. But the sight of the stricken eagle, its magnificent wing trapped, fueled their determination. They were its only hope, the thin line between survival and the abyss. With each upward move, they drew closer to their feathered objective. The floodwaters surged through the valley, a raging torrent of destruction. Trees were uprooted, houses swept away like toys. The air crackled with the sound of nature's fury. A mother elephant and her calf, separated from their herd, struggled to stay afloat. The calf, small and weak, clung desperately to its mother's back. Exhaustion set in, threatening to drag them both under. The mother's trunk, a snorkel of desperation, searched for air. A rescue boat battling the raging current appeared through the deluge. The rescuers, their faces grim but determined, reached out to the struggling pair. Their boat, tossed about like a cork, was a beacon of hope in a sea of despair. The young chimpanzee, orphaned by poachers, huddled in the corner of its enclosure. Its eyes, windows to a soul in pain, held a deep sadness. It had witnessed the brutal murder of its family, the destruction of its world. Rescued from the brink of death, it was now safe. But the trauma ran deep. A team of caregivers, their hearts filled with compassion, worked tirelessly to earn its trust. They spoke softly, offering comfort and reassurance. Slowly, tentatively, the chimpanzee began to respond. It reached out a hesitant hand, seeking the warmth of human touch. In that moment, a bond was forged, a connection that transcended language and species. Hope, like a fragile seedling, began to grow. These are just a few stories from the front lines of wildlife rescue, stories of courage, compassion, and unwavering dedication. Men and women who risk their lives to save animals in peril. They are the guardians of the wild, the voice for the voiceless. Their actions speak volumes. They remind us that we are not alone on this planet, that every living creature has value, has a right to exist. By protecting wildlife, we protect our planet. We preserve its biodiversity for generations to come. These rescues are a testament to the human spirit, proof that we are capable of great empathy and courage. They inspire us to do better, to be better stewards of our natural world. Remember, the wild is counting on us. We are their only hope.